Before 1440, when Gutenberg changed the world, hand-copied texts were the most highly valued treasures of monarchies and monasteries. Whether for kings or commoners, large libraries were grandiose treasure boxes, temples exalting the world's knowledge. The richest were proudly displayed in reading rooms whose walls were piled high with shelving, reachable by ladders and balconies. Accessing books required Super Mario-like acrobatics. By 1850, steam presses raised hourly production from 400 pages to 12,000 and more. Now, ordinary people could own much more than just a family Bible, and for libraries, the possibilities were limitless. That brings us to 1891 and the University of Pennsylvania's Fisher Fine Arts Library, often nicknamed for its maverick architect, Frank Furness. Steam, iron, and coal were the very stuff of 19th century Philadelphia and its powerful financial, philanthropic, social, and educational elites. For Furness, their gilded machine-age dynamism opened the door to pursue a uniquely Philadelphia iconography, celebrated by red brick, iron, and abandoned architectural norms. But for Penn's library, Furness's industrial strength imagery is secondary to his functional achievements. When he was commissioned in 1887, Penn's library was embedded with the university's only other building, College Hall, and was bursting with books run amok. What was needed was a veritable machine for reading. That is precisely what Frank Furness's masterpiece gave them, and to the world, he gave an epical invention. Furness owns a debt to Henri Labrouste, the mid-19th century French architect. Labrouste broke new ground, reimagining bookshelves as multi-tiered industrial storage systems that contrasted starkly with traditionally ornate reading rooms. Furness took Labrouste's thinking to another level. He pioneered the idea of completely separating book storage from all other functions. An infinitely expandable matrix of glass and iron book stacks promised limitless collection growth. But the idea was about much more than just future-proofing. Isolating book space allowed him to optimize people space, vastly enhancing users' experience. With books set aside, patron services became a diagram of accessibility, efficiency, and comfort. An oversized lobby isolated the staircase and offered a conversation room for those seeking relief from the library's enforced silence. The foyer leads into the main hall, housing all patron services, circulation, cataloging, and access to books. The second reading room, for researchers wanting greater concentration, takes the form of a cathedral's apse surrounded with chapel-like study alcoves. This arrangement seems like simplicity itself, but it had never been done before. 19th century buildings require natural light and ventilation as technical necessities. Furness's soaring reading rooms are bathed in their clerestory's light and air. But to illuminate the stacks, Furness chose high technology. The book wing is enclosed in glass, with light filtering to lower levels through glass-floored walkways, as if a Victorian forebearer of today's Apple stores. Frank Furness set an enduring standard for destination libraries. In 1911, Hastings and Carrere opened the bookstack-driven New York Public Library. Next came Harvard's Widener Library, named for an ultra-wealthy Philadelphian and designed by Philadelphia's noted African-American architect, Julian Abel. Other distinguished examples include Cram and Ferguson's 1920s Stetson Library at Williams College, Yale's 1961 Beinecke Library by Gordon Bunshaft, and Mexico City's spectacular Biblioteca Vasconcelos by Alberto Calach in 2006. Back to the Philadelphia of steam, iron, and coal. Frank Furness was as much a machine-age architect as were Walter Gropius and Le Corbusier. Unlike such manifesto-minded modernists, Furness's inventiveness was aimed specifically at his hometown. As a Philadelphian, he could pursue rebellious ideas thanks to his railroad baron clients sharing the belief that things would never be the same. They were eager to celebrate epochal technology in architectural form, giving Furness license to forget about ancient Greece. The furnace phenomenon was not unique. European architects also proposed refreshingly new styles, befitting their own times and places. Think of Gaudi, Guimard, Horta, Mackintosh, and Otto Wagner. Their humane regionalist styles thrived until the Depression and World War II. Post-war, the ornament-shunning international style replaced this rich diversity, and Frank Furness would not have been amused. But architectural conservatism caught up with Furness. He was way too far out for America's early 20th century ruling classes and their conservative Eurocentric pretensions. McKim, Mead, and White's exquisite neoclassicism became their comfort food. With it, Philadelphia's flirtation with the unconventional faded. Furness's maverick muscularity gave way to the old-world elegance of Julian Abel and Paul Kray. For the University of Pennsylvania, the Furness Library was a one-time fling. Moving forward, they worked with firms like Cope and Stewartson, neoclassicists whose work still dominates the campus. Furness's library became an outlier, the relic of a once-and-only adventure in unabashedly radical design. It became the ugly duckling, an object of shame. In fact, it is only thanks to the 1929 financial crash that it escaped being reclothed in proper academic Gothic. Further insult came in 1931 with the construction of the During Wing, blocking further expansion of Furness's stacks with a 6-story brick box, ironically designed by Furness's successor, Alan Evans. But the people space book space model remained a library diagram of choice until the 1950s, when the concept was eclipsed by new technologies. Fluorescent light and air conditioning allowed building footprints of unlimited size, with space efficiently packed under dreary, low, flat ceilings. This was true for factories, offices, supermarkets, and libraries, not to mention schools of architecture. Supermarket libraries could be stacked high with no reference to scale, and purported to solve the age-old problem of library obsolescence. Newfangled lighting and ventilation allowed infinitely flexible universal space. Now, anything could go anywhere. In 1960, keeping up with the times, Penn's Van Pelt Dietrich Library replaced the Furness Building. This was undoubtedly necessitated by the collection's exponential growth. With its later edition, Van Pelt tops out at 6 million volumes, way beyond Furness's so-called infinitely expandable glass and iron stacks. Furness's library has been called a collision between a cathedral and a train station. Those lucky enough to have studied in this burly setting remember the bong of the industrial age steam pipes, the implied warmth of the hearth, and the intimacy of the glass-floored stacks which connect you with others studying around you. As a fine arts library, it became a temple of architecture, resonant with the ghostly voices of important architects, Kahn, Jurgala, Venturi, and so many others. Librarians spend their lives bringing organizational clarity to the chaotic universe of everything that has ever been known, thought, or written. What could be more glorious, more worthy of architectural celebration? Architects are like librarians, striving to bring order, clarity, and also pleasure to humankind's myriad institutions. For designers everywhere, Frank Furness's library is a beacon, reminding us of that foundational ideal. It is once again a beacon that shines brightly. And where is there another such utterly emotive building? AIA Pennsylvania consecrates this 2023 50-year Timeless Building Award to that question.